I'm Nikki from Little Ones, and today I'm going to answer the question, what is the best bedtime for babies and toddlers? So to best answer this question, I sort of need to go back to the start and explain a bit about how we are biologically programmed to respond to sleep. So traditionally speaking, before we had electricity and lived the way we do live now, as dusk approached in the evening, it would have got dark, and we didn't have the ability as humans to prolong daylight through the use of artificial lighting. And so bedtime for most humans, babies, toddlers, children and adults, would have been just after dusk. So we're talking somewhere between 6 and 7:30 p.m. And that is the time that we are biologically programmed to go to sleep. Our bodies are triggered by things that happen in our environment which help us know that it's time to go to sleep and help us fall asleep. So that's things like a temperature change. And again, if we're looking at more of a traditional way of living, as the sun went down, there would have been a drop in temperature which signaled to our bodies that sleep was approaching. This also kicked off a rise in our melatonin levels. And so melatonin is a hormone that is released in the dark, and it is triggered by things like a change in temperature. And that hormone is pumped through our bodies until around midnight. And it is crucial to us falling asleep and staying asleep and sleeping really deeply and restoratively. And so that, in a nutshell, is how we are biologically programmed to sleep at night. Which is why the bedtime for babies and toddlers, and actually preschoolers and young children as well, tends to be around 7 p.m. because that's when it's dark, there's been a bit of a temperature shift, and our bodies start being pumped full of those really good sleep hormones. Also, before midnight, the hours you sleep before midnight are generally referred to as your most restorative sleep. This is when you are sleeping your deepest sleep, and fun fact, when you dream, you're actually in your lighter sleep stages, which is usually after midnight. So this is why we always aim to have our babies and toddlers in bed earlier rather than later, because they're getting more of those really good sleep hours before midnight. So if your child is going to bed quite late, 9, 10, even 11, or if they're unsettled and they're not falling asleep until then, they're getting less of a chance to have those good sleep hours and be pumped full of those good sleep hormones before midnight. So how do you actually get your baby to sleep at 7 p.m? The trick is to make sure that their day is all aligned to lead to a settled bedtime at around 7 p.m. So that would mean making sure their naps are happening at the right times during the day, that they're not overtired and that they're not undertired. So then they're perfectly ready for bed at 7 p.m. and they'll settle easily and sleep well at that point. Another important thing for heading toward a bedtime of 7 p.m. is implementing a wake up time in the morning of around 7 a.m. and waking your baby if they're not already awake, or aiming for a wake up time of 7 a.m. is going to help kickstart your baby's circadian rhythm for the day, and that's going to make sure all their naps are happening at the perfect time to then work towards a 7 p.m. bedtime. Through our sleep programs, we have really age-specific awake windows, nap times and nap lengths for your baby and toddler right up to 3 years old. And so all of that is geared around the way our bodies naturally respond to sleep, and we work with your baby and toddler's circadian rhythm to help get their naps happening, to help get towards an earlier, decent 7 p.m. bedtime in the evening. So I hope that's helped with knowing what time you should be aiming for your baby or toddler to be in bed. For more information, please have a look at the sleep programs and the sleep articles on our website. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for lots more baby sleep videos.